On March 30th, 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released by New Line Cinema. And it received mixed reviews from critics at first, but it was a box office success, grossing $202 million against a budget of $13.5 million, becoming the highest grossing independent film up to that time, surpassed in 1999 by The Blair Witch Project and becoming the 9th highest grossing film worldwide of 1990. But what stood out most in that film to me was the incredible animatronic costumes of the Turtles and Splinter, crafted by the legendary Jim Henson and his crew. As more films were released along the way with the live action TV series, it's pretty safe to say that the quality of the costumes had gone downhill. Really downhill. So today, let's look at why the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costumes are perfect examples of timeless costuming, even if we can see wires, performers' mouths, and stunt hands. Much of the production for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually took place in North Carolina, with a couple of location shoots in New York during the summertime of 1989 to capture famous landmark areas such as Times Square, the Empire State Building, and the Hudson River. Filming in North Carolina took place at the North Carolina Film Studios, where New York rooftop sets were created. Production designer Roy Forge Smith and his art director Gary Wisner went to New York for 4 months prior to filming and took still photographs of rooftops and other various locations. Whilst in New York City, Smith and Windsor were allowed to explore an abandoned Brooklyn subway line, as they could not gain access to the sewer, but the structure of the subway had the same principle as a sewer. After design sketches were created, the construction team used the studio's backlot to create some of the sets, but most notably, that beautiful and elaborate sewer set. The turtle costumes and the Splinter puppets were created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop in London. Jim Henson said that the creature suits were the most advanced that he had ever worked with. Within the 18-week turnaround, the process involved live casting the actors and the stunt performers, sculpting the body forms of each turtle, and giving them an individual look, as well as molding, casting the pieces in foam latex, not to mention building the servos and mechanisms that would be placed inside the heads of the talking versions of all 4 brothers. Some heads actually did not feature servos and were just used for static or neutral expressions, which means they were locked in a neutral or some sort of other expression. Brian Henson, son of Jim Henson, was chief puppeteer and also served as a second unit director, overseeing the fight scenes. 2 separate sets of bodysuits were made. The heavier, more detailed suits were worn by the principal body performers in most scenes, while a lighter set was engineered explicitly for action and stunt scenes. The suits themselves were divided into 15 pieces, and the faces were controlled via motorized cables located in the shells. This technology, later refined into the Henson Performance Control System, paved the way for such later productions as Dinosaurs, which used many of the same puppeteers and creative crew. The Creature Shop also provided turtle costumes for the sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. However, they did not return for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 or the TV series Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. And you can tell. What I also love is that each turtle has its own distinct shape and look. Now, I've always seen Leonardo as the handsome and rugged one because he is the leader. Whilst they've gone with a more curious and inquisitive look for Donnie, you've got Mikey, who has a much more youthful and childlike appearance. And then we have Raphael, the brawler and bruiser of the group, who has a very battle-hardened face, complete with scars. The Turtles' belts, weapons, and protection pads is something I had always tried to build on and off as a kid. And looking at their designs, it seems like they were kit bashed together by the brothers after finding a box of leather scraps and steel from behind a dumpster in some seedy New York back alley. Honestly, I think it's a good direction they took. I think having matching colored pads would not have matched the dark tone that Steve Barron was going for. And when it came to making the Turtles talk, there was a village of puppeteers, including someone to move the mouth, someone to control the eyes and brow movements, whilst all syncing up with the suit performers' movements, and this required extensive rehearsals. Now, when it came to the voice actors, we have Brian Toshi as Leonardo, we have Josh Pice as Raphael, Corey Feldman as Donatello, Robbie Rist as Michelangelo, and the famous Kevin Clash of Elmo's Sesame Street fame as Splinter. Not only that, all 4 actors that played the in-suit turtles also made cameos in the film, with David Foreman, who played Leonardo, as a gang member. We also had Michelin Sisti, who played Michelangelo as the pizza delivery man, Leif Tilden, who played Donatello as a messenger of the Foot Clan, and Josh Pais, who played Raphael and also provided the voice for Raph as a passenger in the taxi. Pais would go on to say that wearing one of these servo heads was like standing in Grand Central Station during rush hour with a tin can on your head. And because they were filming by a busy flight path, the radio frequency from the planes would constantly interrupt the signal being used to control the servos in the heads, causing some very nightmare-fueled induced facial expressions at random times. Now, these costumes were state of the art at the time, and it helps when you have the man responsible for creating the Muppets at the design and fabrication helm. But these 70-pound slabs of foam, latex, and servos were a nightmare to wear. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Raphael performer and voice actor Josh Pais went on to say, "It was an intense relationship between me and the suit. We would suit up from the toe right up to the neck, the head would go on, they would glue the head down to the body, and that was it. It was seamless. Once you're in there, you were in there." While we were shooting, it was never really a problem, Pais went on to say, but then they'd yell cut, and maybe one of the turtle heads wasn't working. So then it could be an hour to fix it, to get it up and running again. We would just freak out, and you would hear one of us go, "Take the fucking head off! Take the fucking head off! Take it off!" Can you imagine seeing that shit on set? A happy looking turtle, but on the inside, a panic-stricken super performer about to have a meltdown. Considering their weight and their intricacies, these costumes had to be durable, right? Well, no. The costumes needed constant fixing, entire limbs had to be replaced quite frequently, as even the actors' sweat began to break down the foam latex. Not to mention that the stunt-heavy fight scenes meant that these suits would cop an absolute flogging. But that's why we have spares. Despite the suits being unbearable to wear at times, along with the fact that the suit actors lost about 20 pounds during the shoot, these costumes are timeless, and in my opinion still hold up to this day. You buy into the fact that these are four brothers who bicker and act like real teenagers, not just four blokes in rubber suits. Bringing the Turtles to life along with Splinter was the epitome of a collaborative effort, and not only did Jim Henson and his talented crew do their most state-of-the-art work at the time, but you also have the suit performers, the stunt crew, who make these suits look easy to maneuver in. You also have the legendary puppeteer Kevin Clash providing the voice and bringing Splinter to life, utilizing the traditional hand puppet approach. You also have a fight with the Shredder at the end of the film that was brutal, dark, heavy, and really showcased how well these suits could move with the incredible stunt team. The Shredder takes the Turtles on one by one, absolutely brutalizing them, with Leo even getting the upper hand at one point, attempting to even deliver 2 kill shots to the Shredder's head before landing a gash on his arm. Fun fact, Ernie Reyes Jr., who doubled as Donatello, would go on to play Keno in the second Ninja Turtles film, Secret of the Ooze. We have actors Judith Hoag and Elias Koteas that have amazing chemistry with the Turtles on screen. Again, another fine example of actors interacting with specialty creature suits and really selling it, compared to today where most actors just interact with a tennis ball on set. The writing in the film also adds to how incredible the Turtles are in screen. It doesn't come off as lame, it's real, it's grounded, and sure, at times it borders on cheesy with their banter, but that's the charm of the Turtles. They're teenagers. We were all cheesy once.
Cricket? Nobody understands cricket. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
But the writing also deals with heavy issues, like the possible loss of a parent and not knowing if you'll ever see them again.
Couldn't this wait till morning?
You will listen now. It deals with family and how strong a bond it can be, whilst also adding in that it's more than okay to be different, and how to embrace being different, paired with the raw and gritty cinematography of John Fenner, who perfectly captures the late 80s and early 90s aesthetic of New York. Not only that, Fenner lights the Turtles in a way that either hides them in gritty shadow or harsh light, and still makes these Henson creations look more than believable. Jim Henson sadly passed away in 1990, just before the film's release, and the second Turtles film is dedicated to him, which his crew made the suits for as well. And even though they did an incredible job, there's something just so charming and gritty about their original 1990s Turtle costumes. Again, this is thanks to not only the creative team behind them, but the rest of the production crew and a director who had faith in making the world of the Turtles believable and grounded. And wrapping all of these elements together and slapping a pizza-stained bow on it is the amazing score by John Dupre, ranging from upbeat and fun to just plain tear-jerking and heartbreaking. Dupre's score really hits home that these aren't just four performers in foam rubber suits. These are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when it all comes down to at the end of the day, if I can still shed a tear from that one shot of Mikey shedding a tear, or Leo embracing his brother after nearly losing him, then that is a job well done. And that is timeless costuming.
Cowabunga!